Parsons was seen laying on a sideline training table during the team's finale preseason game against the Falcons Friday without wearing his jersey in the midst of a contract dispute and a trade request. Cowboys coach Brian Schottenheimer confirmed he will talk to Micah about the situation and handle it internally. Parsons spoke on the moment on social media after it was clarified he wasn't lying down the whole game. I actually appreciate this. The way the media shapes perception and narratives is wild. And if he hadn't said anything, everyone would have just run with it. I never disrespect the guys out there fighting for their lives. Stephen A., I'll start with you. Was Micah lying down there on the sideline? Was that a bad look?
It was a bad look, but I do believe him. He wasn't trying to be disrespectful to his teammates at all. But I do think he's trying to be disrespectful to Jerry Jones. I think that Jerry Jones has really raked his last nerves. I think that Jerry Jones and the things that he has said has really, really irked him and has offended him. He's been on the record. He's asked for a trade. He's scrubbed his, social media accounts, in terms of his association with the Cowboys. You got Falcons fans screaming at him to come to the Falcons, come play in Atlanta, and he's like, call me. He's walking into the game eating nachos. It's not a big deal. None of that is a big deal. Please don't get me wrong. But I don't believe for one second that he would ever disrespect his teammates like that or whatever. But Micah is a smart brother. He ain't stupid. And he could be calculating in his own right. And I think it's one of those situations where Jerry has really, really rubbed him the wrong way. And he wants to let Jerry know. He doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't respect it. And he is not beyond retaliating in his own way to irk this man as well. I think that's what it's about more than anything else. I don't think this would be something that we're leaning on him in terms of looking at his teammates in some kind of shady way or anything like that. His issue is not with them. His issue is not with anybody but Jerry Jones. And if you saw my interview with Jerry Jones and you heard what Jerry Jones had to say about him, about the agent, who he refused to really, really acknowledge that much, is one of the best agents in the business, in David Mugoleta. The bottom line is that there's a whole bunch of stuff that's rubbing Micah the wrong way, and I think you're seeing him act out in that regard. But I think it's directed at Jerry Jones and nobody else.
You go. Oh, yeah, I think, honestly, I don't care about Micah laying down on the table, whether he laid down for 20 minutes or he laid down for 20 seconds. I don't think that's what's important here. What's important here is Jerry Jones reminded us in his great conversation with Stephen A. Smith that the NFL is the largest separation between ownership and labor. And Jerry Jones believes in that more than any owner believes in that. Jerry Jones, when sitting across from Peyton Manning doing contract negotiations during the lockout, he talked to Peyton Manning like Peyton Manning was a little boy. And then when he couldn't get his way, he walked to the door, folded his arms, and waited for the rest of the owners to follow him, because Jerry Jones understands and believes that I've owned this team for the last 4 decades. You're lucky and blessed if you get 4 years. And when he talks about David Mugoleta and he talks about the agent not needing to be involved because it doesn't take 3, it only takes 2. It does only take 2. But the 2 are the 2 people who are supposed to be negotiating. When you did another job with Athletes First, which was for Dak Prescott with agent Todd France, you talked to Todd. When you did another deal with CeeDee Lamb with Tory Dandy, who is now also with Athletes First, you had to talk to Tory. So you don't get to in this situation, because whether you feel Micah Parsons got over on you and you had a deal done, or you felt like you got over on Micah Parsons and now you're being asked to do business in the way business is supposed to be being done, you don't get to pitch a fit like a petulant child. And then we have to come on TV and discuss whether or not Micah Parsons as a player has the correct decorum or the correct level of professionalism, when we're watching an owner and a GM every single day show that he doesn't. And so we've gotten to a point now to where Jerry Jones's personal feelings have now put his team in a position to not have their best overall player on the field night 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles.
Dan, how does the situation end?
I don't think Mike is going to play for the Cowboys again.
Again?
Yeah, I just don't. I honestly think, if I'm the Buffalo Bills or the Baltimore Ravens, I'm on the phone. Because if it's as bad as we know publicly, it's probably worse privately. So at some point, it's like, when does it get to a point for Jerry Jones where the player and the production isn't worth it anymore when it comes to the personal dislike, okay? I had a question for both you guys, because, and Molly as well. I don't know business, and I'm not a business person. I'm not smart enough, all that stuff. But, like, when it comes to this situation, in the bad look versus good look, not the football realm of it or the teammate realm of it, from the business realm of it, because this is a business transaction that's happening publicly. Don't we walk away saying it's a good look? Because it's
the message was clear. To me, it was, I'm out.
The steps for Micah are,
so we're not playing games. Like,
I'm not budging.
Well,
but this is a public thing, not a private thing.
Well, let me say this. Let me backtrack. Because I'm glad I got both of y'all on the show this morning to talk about this. So I'm sitting with Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is saying, Micah called me. I didn't call him. Micah wanted to negotiate a deal. We negotiated a deal. Then he turns around after we do that and says, don't call me no more. Call my agent. Micah, in his side, is like, that's not true. We met with Jerry Jones because Jerry Jones wanted to have a discussion on leadership, a leadership conference. I came back into town. I called them and I said, yo, I'm here. You want to meet? And then when I met with them, that turned into a conversation about the contract. And I got representation for that. Now, my comments to Jerry Jones was like, this brother was 25 years old at the time. Jerry Jones, you've been negotiating for at least 60 years. Yeah. What are you talking about? Is it black, white, young, old, or whatever? Your franchise is worth $12.8 billion. You yourself is worth $16 billion. You are considered one of the elite businessmen and marketers in this country, if not this world. Why are you acting like a conversation with a 25-year-old is a negotiation? And he's saying, Steven, that's the way it's always been. I talked to Dak. We couldn't reach an agreement. He played. I talked to Dak again. We couldn't reach an agreement again. He played. I said, so you're basically saying that Micah should be out on the field putting himself at risk. And Jerry basically nodded like, yeah. So I want you guys to comment about that, because to me, it's like, where do you go from there? We know that Jerry is wrong because he's 25 years old. Stop it, Jerry. And I told him, he's 25 years old and he's not an agent. But Jerry's attaching something different to it, and he ain't budging in that regard. What do y'all say to all of that?
I have a question from that to RC. If what Stephen A is saying, Jerry Jones, in his words, said himself that he has done that in the past, isn't that illegal in the NFLPA?
Yeah, NFLPA, that's not supposed to happen. You're not supposed to have those sort of negotiations. But I talked to DeMarcus Lawrence this weekend, and I asked him, I said, hey, we put the clip out yesterday, what advice would you have for Michael Parsons? And I don't know what their relationship is, what their connection is. And he said, well, Jerry told me I needed to show him more. Basically saying, me and Jerry had this conversation, and I'm going to play on the franchise tag. And if you do what you're supposed to do on the franchise tag, then I'll pay you. And he goes, and he paid me. That's not the conversation that Jerry Jones and Micah Parsons had. And if Stephen A. retelling